Your cat is asleep, curled into that impossible shape they always find, paws tucked under, tail wrapped around, face half buried in their own fur. Breathing slow, body completely still. And then something shifts. The paws start moving, small, rapid twitches, like they're running somewhere or reaching for something just out of reach. The whiskers flicker. The eyes move behind closed lids, fast and irregular. The ears swivel once, twice, responding to a sound that isn't there. And somewhere deep in the throat, almost too quiet to hear, a sound, half chirp, half murmur, escapes before the stillness returns. You watch this happen and you ask the question that every cat owner has asked. What is going on in there? What does your cat see when the eyes close and the world falls away? Where do they go? What plays out behind those sealed lids while their body lies perfectly still on your couch?
The answer involves neuroscience, evolutionary biology, and something that will make you look at your sleeping cat in a way you never have before. Because what happens inside a cat's brain during sleep is not simple. It is not just rest. It is one of the most active, complex, and revealing processes in the entire biology of the animal. And it tells you things about your cat, real things, true things, that no waking behavior ever could. Start with the sleep itself, because cat sleep is not what most people think it is. Cats sleep between 12 and 16 hours a day. Some cats, particularly older ones or those in very quiet environments, sleep closer to 20. This sounds excessive by human standards, and for most of human history, it was interpreted as laziness or indifference, or the simple contentment of a creature with no responsibilities. The reality is biological and precise. Cats are explosive athletes, not endurance animals, sprinters. Their hunting strategy is not the long chase of a wolf pack wearing down prey over miles. It is the short, violent, total commitment burst of a predator that has to go from 0 to maximum speed in a fraction of a second, sustain that intensity for a few crucial moments, and then stop. The muscles that produce this kind of movement, fast-twitch muscle fibers, operating anaerobically, require significant recovery time between deployments. They deplete fast and rebuild slowly. A cat that hunts burns an extraordinary amount of energy in a very short window, and then needs extended rest to restore the systems that were used. The sleep is not laziness. The sleep is reloading. Every hour your cat spends asleep is the body doing the biological work that makes the next explosive moment possible. But the sleep is not uniform, and the differences between the stages are where the real story lives. Cat sleep happens in two distinct phases that cycle repeatedly through a sleep period. The first is light sleep, a state that looks from the outside like full sleep, but is neurologically much closer to a state of reduced alertness. In light sleep, the cat's brain is still processing environmental information, still registering sounds, still tracking smells, still maintaining a baseline awareness of the surrounding space. The muscles are relaxed but not fully. The posture often maintains some structural readiness, the kind of position that can transition to full wakefulness in under a second. This is why you can walk into a room where your cat appears to be deeply asleep and find them watching you before you've made a sound. They weren't fully asleep. They were in light sleep, resting the body while keeping the threat detection systems running at reduced capacity. In the wild, a sleeping predator is a vulnerable predator. Light sleep is the compromise the nervous system evolved to allow rest without fully surrendering the ability to respond to danger. Most of a cat's sleep time is spent here, resting, but not gone. And then there is the other phase, REM sleep. Rapid eye movement sleep, the phase where everything changes. In humans, REM sleep is when dreaming occurs. The brain becomes highly active, in some respects more active than during wakefulness. The eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids. The body is paralyzed by a specific neurological mechanism that prevents the physical acting out of whatever the brain is experiencing. Heart rate and breathing become irregular. The brain produces the full, immersive internal experience we call dreams. Cats have REM sleep, documented, measured, neurologically confirmed. The first evidence came from research by Michel Jouvet in the 1960s, who was studying sleep in cats and made a discovery that changed neuroscience. When he temporarily disabled the brainstem mechanism that produces muscle paralysis during REM sleep in cats, something extraordinary happened. The sleeping cats began to move, not randomly, purposefully. They stalked. They pounced. They batted at invisible objects. They reacted with fear to something that wasn't there. They performed complete, coherent behavioral sequences, the full motor programs of hunting, of play, of threat response, while their eyes remained closed and their bodies were technically asleep. They were, in every meaningful sense, acting out their dreams. So what are they dreaming about? The honest scientific answer is that we cannot access the content of another being's subjective experience directly. We cannot put a camera in your cat's dream and see what they see. The internal, first-person experience of dreaming, the images, the narrative, the felt sense of being somewhere, remains inaccessible from the outside. But we can look at what the brain is doing, and what the brain is doing tells us a great deal. During REM sleep in cats, the brain regions most active are the ones associated with sensory processing and motor execution, specifically the visual cortex, the motor cortex, and the limbic system, which governs emotional experience. The brain is processing visual information, running motor programs, and generating emotional responses, all simultaneously, all in the absence of any external input. The brain is replaying, reprocessing, running sequences from waking experience through the neural systems that encode them, rehearsing, consolidating, integrating. And the sequences it runs are the ones that matter most to a cat's survival and functioning. The hunting sequence, the territorial patrol, the navigation of familiar space, the social interactions with beings they're bonded to, the threat assessments, the escapes, the moments of successful predation. Your cat, during REM sleep, is almost certainly dreaming of things they have done, things they want to do, and things their brain needs to process. They are dreaming of hunting, of running, of the specific textures and smells and spatial layouts of their world, of the beings that populate that world, including, research suggests, you. There is evidence for this last point that is worth sitting with. Studies on memory consolidation during sleep have shown that during REM, the brain replays the neural patterns associated with recent significant experiences. In rats running mazes, researchers have recorded hippocampal neurons during sleep firing in sequences that precisely matched the patterns from waking navigation. The rat's brain was literally replaying the maze while sleeping,
consolidating the spatial memory. The same consolidation process operates in cats.
The brain, during REM sleep, replays and encodes the experiences that mattered during the preceding waking period, the experiences that were emotionally significant, the ones that activated the limbic system, that produced dopamine or cortisol or oxytocin, that the nervous system flagged as important enough to remember. Think about what that means for your cat's dream content. The play session you had with them in the evening, the moment you came home and they greeted you, the sound of your voice, the specific smell of you, the feeling of being on your lap. These are experiences that activate your cat's limbic system, experiences that are emotionally significant, that the brain has flagged as important. These are the experiences that get replayed during REM sleep. Your cat is not just dreaming of hunting and territory. Your cat is dreaming of you. Not consciously, not with narrative and plot, but neurologically. Your presence, your voice, your smell, the emotional state your cat associates with you. These patterns replay in the sleeping brain because they are among the most significant inputs your cat's nervous system receives. You are in there, in the dream, in the place where the brain keeps what matters most. The experiences that were emotionally significant, the ones that activated the limbic system, that produced dopamine or cortisol or oxytocin, that the nervous system flagged as important enough to remember. Think about what that means for your cat's dream content. The play session you had with them in the evening, the moment you came home and they greeted you, the sound of your voice, the specific smell of you, the feeling of being on your lap. These are experiences that activate your cat's limbic system, experiences that are emotionally significant, that the brain has flagged as important. These are the experiences that get replayed during REM sleep. Your cat is not just dreaming of hunting and territory. Your cat is dreaming of you, not consciously, not with narrative and plot, but neurologically. Your presence, your voice, your smell, the emotional state your cat associates with you. These patterns replay in the sleeping brain because they are among the most significant inputs your cat's nervous system receives. You are in there, in the dream, in the place where the brain keeps what matters most. The murmur is contentment, closeness, the sound of being near something warm and safe. When these sounds emerge during sleep, they are the emotional soundtrack of whatever is being experienced. Your cat, chattering in their sleep, is hunting something in their dream. Your cat, chirping softly in their sleep, is greeting someone. Your cat, murmuring in their sleep, is somewhere comfortable, near someone they love. Listen carefully next time. The dream is speaking. There is something else that sleep reveals about your cat that waking behavior often conceals. Where your cat chooses to sleep. Cats are extraordinarily specific about sleep locations. They don't lie down randomly. They select sleeping spots through a calculation that weighs safety, temperature, height, visibility of the surrounding space, and proximity to important beings. The sleeping spot is a declaration of trust. It is your cat saying, with their body, in the most vulnerable state they can be in, I feel safe enough here to fully let go. A cat that sleeps in the open, on your bed, pressed against your legs, has decided that your presence makes the vulnerability of sleep acceptable, that you are part of what makes the space safe, that the calculation comes out in favor of closeness
even when closeness means exposure.
A cat that always sleeps in enclosed spaces, in boxes, in the back of closets, in places with only one entrance they can monitor, is a cat whose nervous system still needs the protection of enclosure to fully rest. Not necessarily an anxious cat, not necessarily a cat with a troubled past, just a cat whose threat assessment system requires a certain configuration to down-regulate enough for sleep. The cave is the safety. The enclosure is the permission to let go. And a cat that has moved their sleeping location over time, that used to sleep alone and now sleeps near you, or that used to sleep at the foot of the bed and has gradually migrated closer, is a cat whose trust has deepened, whose nervous system has recalibrated, who has concluded through accumulated experience that you are safe enough to sleep against. The sleeping spot is a trust map, and it changes as the relationship changes. One final thing. About the moment just before sleep takes them, watch your cat in the minutes before they fully go under. The slowing of the blink, the heaviness of the eyelids, the slight softening of the body as muscle tension releases incrementally. The head dropping, correcting, dropping again. Sometimes the slow blink directed at you, the deliberate, unhurried closing of the eyes that researchers have identified as a feline trust signal, given at the moment of maximum vulnerability, just before consciousness lets go. That slow blink before sleep is your cat saying something. I see you. I feel safe. I'm letting go now. It is the animal version of the thing humans say to the people they trust most in the last moment before sleep takes them. It is your cat in the most unguarded moment of their day, choosing to close their eyes in front of you. So what does your cat see when it closes its eyes and drifts off to sleep? They see the day that just happened, replayed in the language of the brain, movement and smell, and the emotional weight of what mattered. They run the sequences their body was built to run. They process the things that needed processing. They consolidate the memories that deserve to be kept. They dream of hunting, of running, of the spaces they know and the sounds they love. And somewhere in there, in the part of the dream that the brain reserves for what matters most, they dream of you. Not in words, not in images you'd recognize, but in the feeling of safety. In the particular warmth of a presence that has become, over months and years of shared life, part of what the brain understands as home. Your cat closes its eyes and goes somewhere